Welcome to the Friday edition of the Art Lewis Show. 2 hours of open phones, whatever you'd like to talk about. 989-752-6111 is the number to call. Again, it's 752-6111. Open phones from now until 11 o'clock this morning. We haven't done that in a while. A lot of things to talk about. I see that there was a story this morning we carried on the news that there actually are a couple of powerful Democrats in the state that are pressuring the governor to call a special election for the 35th Senate District seat that was vacated by Kristen McDonald-Rivet when she became a congresswoman. And those include the Attorney General, Nessel, and the Lieutenant Governor, Gilchrist. They both have come out and said that she ought to fill the seat. Whether that's going to be enough, I don't know. I mean, she's pretty independent. She does what she wants to do anyway. But getting counsel from two close members of her cabinet, might be enough to push her over the top. Who knows? It's been well over 100 days of no representation in the Senate for the 270,000 plus people that live in this district, including myself. And quite frankly, I find it troubling that that politics would be played. I find it troubling, but I don't find it surprising. That makes sense? In other words, yeah, I'm troubled with the fact that it's empty, but I'm not surprised that it's empty, because this is a swing district, and I think two things are happening here. The governor is afraid she could lose it, which would cost her the Senate. And the other thing that may be happening is that maybe the Democrats don't feel they have a good enough candidate. So who knows? Time will tell. But there's been absolutely zero from the governor's office on it. All right, let's start our phones. And Mark is in Midland. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Art. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Hey, I was heading up to Tawas the other day, and it's a two-lane drive up there.
Yep.
Where you can't pass anybody. And there was a landscaping company on the side of the road. They had these little hockey pucks out there that were flashing blue and red, signifying to me like a police officer had somebody pulled over, and they had like four of them. Is that, I know you guys had a story about Booty Call, the truck that had flashing lights on it. Couldn't do that. So is this still following the same thing, or are they able to do that as a landscaping company?
Were these on their vehicles?
No, they were on the side of the road.
Oh, so
like
they were just markers
like
on
flashers.
Flashers on the road? Yeah.
Yeah, but they were the size of a hockey puck, and they were rapidly flashing blue, red, like
just as a warning, just that a warning that there was something ahead. So were they off on the shoulder?
They were off on the shoulder, but it's my understanding the law is if you see those lights, you're supposed to, pull over or, get over
well, the law is
to the other lane.
The law is that you're supposed to slow down 10 miles under the speed limit and move over if you can.
Okay.
But as to the color of those lights, if they're not on the vehicles, I don't know that there's any restriction, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Something to watch for that potentially could come up then.
Yeah,
as far as,
but at least they give you a warning. So there is a plus there,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty, sir. Just wondered what your thoughts were on it.
All right. Good enough. Thanks, Mark. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right. 989-752-6111, the number to call. Again, it's open phones right through 11 o'clock this morning. And we would love to hear what's on your mind. That's what it's all about. That's the fun of this. I mean, it's we have a diverse population with a multitude of opinions, and that's what makes it fun, really, when you think about it. All right, let's get back to our phones here. and see who is up next. This is Dan in Bay City. Dan, good morning.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning.
It's going to be a hot one this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about these raids that are going on. And there was that meat packing plant where they arrested 80 illegal immigrants working there. And then I saw that Mr. Trump decided that wasn't going to go after people who work at hospitality places. And I'm thinking, how come the people that own these places that are hiring these people that are illegal, and I mean, shouldn't they be prosecuted?
Well, in my world, yes, but in the real world, apparently not. I have long felt that the businesses share a major responsibility in it. But you have to understand this particular issue is not new to the border problems that we've had over the last several years. It's been around forever.
No, I know they've been around forever.
Been around forever.
The point is,
and by the way, not all those workers are illegal. We should point that out too.
Well, yeah, they're not all illegal, but a lot of them are illegal.
Quite a few.
They took 80 of them and they're deporting them.
Yep.
So, I mean, if they're illegal, how are they paying taxes for those people? Are they paying their unemployment, their benefits? Are they paying for anything into the coffers, because they're not even legal?
Yeah, well, I don't know how I don't know how you'd do it if you weren't legal, because you wouldn't have any of those accounts. You know, you wouldn't have a Social Security card. You wouldn't have any of that. And I listen. I'm not. By the way, I'm not arguing with you. I'm agreeing.
It's ridiculous.
But here's the problem. Here's the other side of that coin. Unfortunately, from what we're told, they can't find others that want to do that work.
That doesn't matter. These people are.
I know that. I'm just explaining that over the years, over the decades, that's what we've been told, that we have these workers coming into the country because nobody else wants those jobs, and that those jobs have to be done. And I think, from what I understand, the president's remarks, he's coming to that conclusion too, apparently.
Well, no, he changed it back now.
Oh, did he change it back? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he changed it back the day before yesterday. He said, now we're going to go get them all. So,
well, something's got to be done. I mean, this whole system is in shambles, and Congress and the administration need to sit down and come to terms with it. And to me, the answer is to find some additional border crossing areas and set up additional border crossings, so that the delay of getting into the country if you ask for asylum isn't enormous. Because I understand there are people who want to come here because they are threatened in their home country and have the right to ask for asylum. I just say do it legally. And unfortunately, right now, those crossings are jammed. I mean, it takes you forever. So I do think we need to find a better solution.
Well, Ronald Reagan found a solution. He gave all those people that were working and hard-working people up here that weren't causing trouble, he gave them amnesty.
Well,
I mean, why can't we use something like that? I mean, it's just so, I don't know, black and white, or
nothing is. It just looks that way. But
okay.
I don't know. All right, Dan.
Hey there,
thanks.
Have a good day.
You bet. Bye-bye. 989-752-6111, the number to call.
It's natural to have questions.
For now, as it continues to make its way through the courts. All right, 9:26, and Carl is with us in Saginaw. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Art. I think your last caller made some good points, about these companies that hire illegals. There's supposed to be a federal system so they can check the background of these people.
Oh, yeah.
And
came into play
and
in
they
the mid-'80s.
and they claim that they're using this system when they hire people, that they have to, like you said, have to have a social security number and other documentation, or they can't. So it seems to me, they have to start arresting some of the CEOs of these companies. You can't just hire the illegal or arrest the illegals. As long as there's a magnet, if there are jobs available, people are going to come for those jobs.
That's the magnet, of course.
That's the magnet, yes. And only addressing one half of the equation is not going to solve the problem, in my view.
Well,
you have to make an example.
It'll deter, but I'm not disagreeing with you as to whether or not there should be action taken against the officials of the company that disregard the law, because they're breaking the law too.
Exactly, they're breaking the law. So,
yep.
I don't want to hear their excuses, really. So, and also about Trump now has said he's going to take a 2-week pause to consider what he's going to do in Iran, which I think is a good idea. I think it's time to maybe take a pause and take a deep breath. I think.
Well, here's
like
the don't misunderstand that, in my opinion, anyway, because he doesn't have to do anything. Israel's doing it all. And if Israel keeps pounding Iran and taking out their military power and reducing their ability, Trump doesn't have to do anything. He just sit back, and then if they want to use the bunker bombs, well, that's a whole other story. But the fact is, he doesn't have to do anything. Israel could force them to the table without Trump doing a thing.
Yeah, that's possible. That could happen. I don't think Israel's happy about this 2-week pause, though. And,
well, nobody said Israel's pausing. Israel's not pausing.
No. Yeah, well, I'd still like to know when Israel is going to have elections. They're supposed to be a democracy. They haven't had an election in a long, long time. And I'd also like to know, there's supposed to be an investigation of, the Hamas attacks 2 years ago. And Netanyahu keeps saying, well, we can't do that investigation until the war is over. But the war is never over. And I don't see why they can't.
Years.
Well, this particular war. And I think Netanyahu has every incentive to keep fighting on all fronts,
maybe.
Just so he doesn't have to be held to account.
Well, that's up for the people in the courts of Israel to decide, not us.
Well, but when are they supposed to have an election?
Whenever they decide
how long is
to.
Netanyahu?
Whenever they decide to. Their government is not set up exactly like ours. So we don't.
I know,
we
it's
don't
a
operate in the
parliamentary
same.
system.
Yeah, it's a different government. That's like saying,
But
well, when is England going to have an election? Well, they have an election when they need to.
But they don't go like 20 years without having an election.
Well, I don't know that Israel's gone 20 years either.
Well, has it been 15 years?
No, I don't think so.
How long has Netanyahu been?
Oh, he's been in and out.
Premier?
He's been in and out.
Well, okay. Well, I'm glad Trump is taking his time. I don't want to see us led into something by Israel and then we regret it. So I'm in favor of what Trump's doing now.
Okay. Good enough. Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye
you.
now. And let's talk to Dave in Saginaw.
Hi, Art. Good morning.
Morning.
On the morning show the other day, you guys were talking about an old program that had been on for years and years about guessing some location or something. That
Secret City.
Secret City, yes, that was it. Well, I heard that on the radio program, and you've had guests so far this week. So today is my first opportunity. Years ago on WSAM, when my wife was around and alive, they had a contest where you could guess a location in the city of Saginaw.
Yeah.
And if you guessed the location right, you could win a motorcycle. And my wife, determined as she was, figured it out and called in. She figured it out, and she called in, and it was the tower that they used to have for fire training over by the river.
It's still there. It's still used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
did she become a motorcycle mama?
Well, the motorcycle that she won was a small Honda. I don't remember how many cc's. It was a small Honda from a shop out M13, and we ended up getting a trailer, and we went out there and we picked it up, and be darned if we rode it around. We were living at Bliss Park apartment then, so she rode it around the circle over in Bliss Park a few times and up and down Fayette. And then we took it out to Fairgrove where her folks lived. And she rode it around the yard out there, and her dad got on it and rode it around the yard out there. And eventually we ended up having to sell it for what we could get for it because we didn't have a place to keep it.
And never used it for transportation.
No. But Kathy was so determined she was going to win that contest. And she did, and we won that motorcycle. And we sold that puppy for $750.
We had very loyal listeners in the Secret City days, and they were constantly on us for clues and what have you. And I mean, it was something to see. And I understand that passion. That's why it was done.
Yeah, well, every time she kept that radio on every day when they had the time frame that you could take a guess.
Yep.
And they would give out a clue.
Yep.
And she was writing those puppies down. And when she knew she had it, boy, she was Johnny on the spot calling in because she didn't know if somebody else would get it.
That's the fun of radio and what we've been able to do over the decades, and it's all designed to gain an audience, obviously, and get people to listen, and it worked. That's
and
what
I've
happens.
got pictures around here in the house somewhere of her sitting on that motorcycle
Great
with
memories.
a big grin on her face out in the backyard of her parents' house.
Excellent. Treasure them.
I do.
Very good.
As you know, she's gone now, just like your wife is.
Yep.
But anyway, that's one of the nice memories.
Good deal, Dave. Thanks for sharing with us.
Okie doke.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Art.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
And that opens up the lines. 989-752-6111. We'll get to John in Saginaw when we return.
Jeff Gronsky here with AutoBright.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, the Art Lewis Show. Back to our phones in Saginaw. We find John this morning. John, good morning.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning.
I'm just calling to give you some information to pass on to your previous caller that the latest Israeli election for prime minister was November of 2022, at which time Netanyahu was reelected.
Yeah, he's been reelected a few times. He was out for a while. He's back in. I knew it was recent. I didn't know what the date was.
Yeah, hasn't been 15 years.
No, I didn't think so. Didn't think so. Good enough. Thanks. Appreciate it, John.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Bye-bye. 989-752-6111. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The number of things have happened in the past couple of days with Israel attacking and the president deciding what he wants to do. Now he's said he's going to wait 2 weeks to decide on the U.S. role in the conflict between Israel and Iran. And he said he'll decide that within 2 weeks. He believes, and this is what the president believes, that there is a substantial chance, his words, substantial chance of negotiations with Iran, and that he will decide within the 2 weeks whether diplomacy means we stay out of it or we get in it. And it did tend to lower the temperature a little bit on the whole thing. But there are those, and Iran has said it won't negotiate under duress. Well, that's easy to say, but if Israel keeps pounding them and knocking out their military and decreasing their ability to make money with their oil, they'll come to the table at some point. And I don't know what that point is. I just know that Israel has taken the first steps and has decimated a lot of their ability. For example, Israel claims control of the skies over Iran because they've knocked out so much of their military infrastructure that supports the air initiative. It's there are just certain things that are truisms. One of them is we are not going to solve a 2,000-plus-year-old problem. Not going to happen. Now, we may be able to come up with a structure that allows people to live in peace, possibly. Although I have to tell you, I'm not totally optimistic about that when it comes to the Middle East. But it is possible that we could come up with some kind of a solution which structures the region so that everybody comes out. Maybe they don't get everything they want, you never do, but they get enough that they can live with each other and not attack each other. I have to be honest, I am not an optimist when it comes to the Middle East. Too many legacy problems that we looking in from the outside don't seem to realize that we're not going to be able to solve. First of all, if there is a solution, it has to come from within, not from without. You're not going to be able to impose any kind of change in that region. The only one that has the possible ability to do a little of that is Israel, because of their military might. And they don't have that military might without us. We supplied most of the weaponry. But it's still an embedded problem. Tremendous distrust between all of the parties. And it's not going to be easy. Take a break, come back. We'll get more calls on when we return here on the Art Lewis Show. Let me talk to you about our friends at McDonald Ford in Freeland, where I get my vehicles and where I hope you get yours. They have a tremendous supply of vehicles on site and great financing, a great knowledgeable, friendly staff. And let me ask, how are your allergies? Now, you may be asking yourself, what do you mean, how are my allergies? Why do you care about that? Well, we're going to go back and tell you about something that they can help you with in your car if you have allergies. It's called FrigiFresh, Frigi-Fresh. What FrigiFresh is a hospital-grade disinfectant that controls pollen, molds, and mildew in your car's air conditioning system. It only costs $20, takes less than 10 minutes for the treatment, and you can get FrigiFresh at Quick Lane next to McDonald Ford in Freeland. Just stop in. No appointment is necessary. Just stop into Quick Lane and See, I heard him talking about Frigifresh. And it'll be yours, and you will drive allergy-free in your car. Wouldn't that be nice? Pollen, mold, all those things, takes care of all of that. So stop in today. Quick Lane Freeland next to McDonald Ford. Ask for Frigifresh.
It could be the best years.
Chewy his rights. I don't know. Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show for this Friday morning. And we have open phones right through 11 o'clock. Gene is in Bay City. Good morning, Gene.
Hi, good morning. Unfortunately, I missed most of the first part of your show yesterday, but, you had some really good people, really smart people on yesterday talking. I hope that the first fella you had on, I hope you have him back sometime, because I'm sorry I missed the first part of it. Mm-hmm. I just caught the end, and they sound like the really, really brilliant, dedicated people.
That they are. And that was Kareem was with me, Kareem Bowen, in the 9 o'clock hour, and then Pam Good and Paul White in the 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, the first guy, I just caught the very end of what he was talking about.
That's Kareem.
Yeah. On the Iran thing, Trump had talking to about the before the attack where they took out the military leaders. He told them not to take out the religious leader,
Khomeini.
And I to me that was a big mistake, because the whole country, that is where the big problem is. He's a hard line. I hate to call it a religion because it's such a sick outlook. His belief is all Jewish people should be killed.
Yeah. All right, hang on a second, Gene, because I got to remind you of something. We have always had a policy in this country against assassinating world leaders of any other country. It's been policy of this nation forever. And I don't know why we would change it now. Now, if Israel wants to take him out, that's Israel's concern.
Yeah. Well, I just don't understand Trump's thinking on that.
He's thinking like an American. We have a law.
The thing, he is such a evil person.
Okay.
And he's putting so much, the way they treat women. His teaching is, it's okay.
So,
if your wife or
you're still saying you want to see him assassinated, and I'm telling you it's not the policy of this country to take out world leaders that way. Doesn't matter what he's done. The nature of the beast.
But that is the cause of the problems. He is the main cause of the problems.
You can excuse it out any way you want. It doesn't change American policy.
Right. I mean, I'm not for killing anybody, but that seems to be the only solution, is to change their attitude.
Well, and that's
have someone in there that would have an attitude.
That's up to the people of that country.
But when they're preaching kill everybody. Well, anyway, that's enough of that subject.
Okay.
The world is a mess right now.
All right.
Stephen Miller is the head of the immigrant situation, and he is one of the advisors that's advising Trump on what to do next on the Iran situation. Stephen Miller
on Iran. Since when did you hear that? When did you hear that he's advising him on Iran? And where did you hear it?
It's been on television several times. Well, it showed the group, there's a group of men, the vice president and, a large
I would
group.
expect those folks to do that.